Hi, how's everybody doing? It's Crazy Monkey here again. All right, so here's part 3 of the blog. All right, so part 1, I was talking about how the welfare state destroys the family. I was talking about how it lowers wages. And I was talking about how the welfare state brings in mass immigration into the West, basically turns us third world. And now what I'm going to talk about is, so what will the West look like, you know, once it's third world? What's going to look like two things. It's going to look like two things. You're going to have cities like San Francisco. That's going to be half of the West. It's going to look like San Francisco. And it's already like this in most cities. I mean, New York's ultra expensive. Stockholm, Sweden's ultra expensive. Paris is ultra expensive. You know, you already got about half the Western cities. Sydney, Australia, Vancouver, Canada, Toronto, Canada, ultra expensive, literally becoming third world cities. Because of the prices are so high, the quality of life is like the third world for the average middle class person. That's already happening in the West. And then you're going to have a second set of cities that are basically going to become like Detroit's. They're going to become like Cleveland's. They're just going to be economically ruined areas where you can live there, but you're going to make very little money. You're going to make $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year, and you're going to live basically in poverty. Even though you can have a house, you can buy a house, have a decent life, but you're going to basically live in poverty. Right? And that's going to be the other half of the Western cities. So either way, we're basically going to be third world. Whether you're living in third world Detroit or you're living in third world San Francisco, the entire West is being turned into the third world. And they're doing that with the welfare state and immigration. Those are the two ways they can do it. And sky-high astronomical tax rates as well. And in San Francisco, you have all three. And that's why San Francisco is now like one of our first third world cities, literally. And I'll show you in just a minute. San Francisco, you have massive immigration, illegal immigration, illegal sanctuary city. You also have H-1B visas, tech workers, massive immigration of tech workers into the San Francisco Bay Area. And then you also have a massive welfare state. I mean, California has got more welfare recipients than any other state in America. It's a massive welfare state. So already in the San Francisco Bay Area, you can actually see it becoming third world. You can actually see that happening, transforming it. I mean, look at the Tenderloin in San Francisco. The homeless bums are pissing and shitting all over the streets. I mean, San Francisco is literally turning third world. You have the rich socialist elites at the top of San Francisco with all the money. They're the multi-billionaires at the top. You have some filthy rich techies as well, and then you have most people just in extreme poverty. And that's how you see it in the third world, and that's what San Francisco is turning into. And eventually that is the way a lot of the Western cities will look, or they will look like Detroit's. Either way, we're going to become third world. And I'm going to show you an article about San Francisco in just a minute. But before I do, I just want to say that, you know, we're all people, all right? Whether you come from Somalia or you come from America, we're all people, all right? What I support is I support the West building hospitals in Somalia. I support the West building schools in Somalia and trying to help them, you know, become business people, help them get education, help them become here. The reason why I'm against mass immigration is because what they're doing, the socialist elites at the top, they keep these countries poor on purpose, and then they say, oh, come to the West and we'll give you free welfare. What they're doing is they're going to make us all poor. That's the system. They're not going to, you know, build hospitals in Somalia and build schools in Somalia. They're not uplifting Somalia. They're not doing that. They're not uplifting the third world. They're not doing that. No, what they're doing is they're keeping the third world poor. Even in China, they had a report that the factories today are just as horrendous as 20 years ago. So although China does have a small middle class, maybe 100, 200 million people, it has a tiny, tiny ruling elite, you know, billionaire class. Most people in China are still poor. You know, 800 million people in China, 900 million people in China are still dirt poor, all right? And the factory workers in China, they had a big, huge report about it. I wish I had the link, but I forgot. I don't know where it is. I lost the link. But they had a link where this human rights organization went into like Chinese factories, and they did this 20 years ago, and then they just did it recently, like a year ago, and they thought they would see major improvements in the factories and the working conditions, and they were shocked because the working conditions were just as horrible now as they were 20 years ago. So even though China's way bigger economy, way richer, wealthier nation, the living conditions for these factory workers were just as bad today as they were 20 years ago. They were still working like slaves, 60, 70-hour work weeks in the factories. They were still deplorable working conditions, just like 20 years ago. And that is what they're doing, folks. That is what they're doing. They're keeping the third world poor, all right, having a small ruling elite socialist class at the top, like in China, then you have a middle class, maybe 5–10% of the population. That's like your doctors, your lawyers, your nurses. And then you have this massive underclass of like 90% of the people that are dirt poor, that have no future. And that is what they are doing. That is what they're doing. I support building hospitals in Africa, supporting building schools in Africa, giving them microloans to start small businesses. I want to have them have a better life. But that's not what the ruling elites want. That's not what the socialist, liberal, social engineers want. What they want is they want a poor Africa, and then they want hundreds of millions of Africans to go into Europe, hundreds of millions of Africans to go into America, and then they want us to become poor. And they want everything just to collapse together, so then we're mass poverty at the bottom for everybody, Africa, Europe, America. We're all dirt poor, 90% of the population in all three of those places, dirt poor, living in extreme poverty, and then the rich socialist elites at the top, they make all the money. That's their system, and they use the socialist, liberal, leftist system as their management system, just like they do in North Korea, just like they do in Venezuela. And I'm going to show you right now what you can call America's first third world city. You can call this America's first third world city, and this is from Breitbart. Let me just show you the link real quick. My camera got adjusted. Right there it goes, Breitbart. All right, so here it is, America's first third world city, brought to you by the liberal leftist socialist engineers. San Francisco is now pushing dorm living for professionals. All right, so I'm just going to read it real quick. San Francisco is trying to solve the housing crisis for its shriveling middle class by moving them into micro apartments rebranded as fun-loving liberal leftists. Where's the picture of Chairman Mao? Dormitories. This is just utterly sick. The concept of jamming tech workers into micro apartments and group dorms has been common in China's coastal manufacturing communities for decades. Now the socialism is spreading to the socialist city of San Francisco. In 2013, China Labor Watch report regarding Pegatron group factories, which supplied iPhones and iPads, caused Apple massive embarrassment and forced Silicon Valley to adapt standards for Chinese worker dorms. But today, one of Silicon Valley's hottest startups is San Francisco's Star City. They call San Francisco the Star City. What a bunch of BS. Which is acquiring and purposing derelict commercial buildings to serve as dorms for grown-ups. The goal is to attract professionals, brainwashed idiots. Some of the times, I mean, that's what professionals can be. Like in a city like San Francisco, they're usually leftist brainwashed idiots, usually, who cannot afford the city's average $3,400 per month rent for a one-bedroom apartment, despite annual earnings of $50,000 to $100,000 per year. And basically, this company has 3 projects. One's located in Ellis Street in the Tenderloin. That's where the homeless bums piss and shit all over the streets. Very nice neighborhood where you smell piss all day long when you walk the streets. And then they got another one in the financial district and another one in North Beach. And there's 20 fully furnished units with about 130 to 220 square feet of living space. So basically what it is you get your bedroom. I guess you have a key and a lock on your door. So you live in your bedroom, and then the living room is common space. You share the bathroom. It says amenities include group bathrooms and common eating areas. You share your kitchen. I guess there's a picture of Chairman Mao in the kitchen. Just joking about that. All right, just joking. And but basically what it is they charge $1,400 to $2,400. That's the amount of money these idiot liberals pay. They pay $1,400 to $2,400 rent. And that basically gets them their one room where they sleep. They sleep in one room, and then they share the other rooms. So the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, that is shared space with other strangers, basically. It's a joke. I mean, this is socialism, folks. This is what this is. This is socialism. All right? And read the comments. Read the comments, because the comments are great. You know, the comments are really, really great. So if you read this article, read the comments, because they're really... The comments are actually just as good as the article itself, and showing you how socialism is destroying America. And this is what will happen. This is how we're going to turn, in America. This is how more and more cities will turn into. They will turn into little San Franciscos where you will be a professional. You will be brainwashed with the socialist leftist mentality. You will be brainwashed into thinking living in a micro studio or living in a dorm is really hip and cool and great and wonderful. You will be brainwashed into thinking you're making $100,000 a year and you're the big man, you're the big man, you're the big woman, you're the big woman. In reality, you're just a slave. In reality, you're just a slave. And the rich billionaire CEO, techie CEOs at the top, they make hundreds of billions of dollars. They make all the money, and then you're just a slave at the bottom. That is literally the socialist slave management system. And San Francisco is America's first socialist city. Literally, it's turning into America's first socialist slave city. You may as well just call San Francisco the new Pyongyang, North Korea, because that's basically what it is.